Translation is, India seems to be in a mad state. That's quite an opening statement.
It is a very striking way to put it, and it definitely signals a critical stance right from the get-go. The source then immediately connects this mad state idea to specific actions it says Prime Minister Modi took.
Okay, like what?
Well, first off, the claim that India tried to pressure Bangladesh to take back Sheikh Hasina, apparently by threatening to shut down visa processing.
Right, and according to this recording, that tactic didn't exactly work out as intended.
Not according to the source, no. It claims Bangladesh...
Specifically, things about Dr. Yunus, these visa policy changes, the transshipment stuff.
It starts off strong, doesn't it?
It really does. The audio uses this phrase, the translation is, India seems to be in a mad state. That's quite an opening statement.
It is a very striking way to put it, and it definitely signals a critical stance right from the get-go. The source then immediately connects this mad state idea to specific actions it says Prime Minister Modi took.
Okay, like what?
Well, first off, the claim that India tried to pressure Bangladesh to take back Sheikh Hasina, apparently by threatening to shut down visa processing.
Right, and according to this recording, that tactic didn't exactly work out as intended.
Not according to the source, no. It claims Bangladesh hit back, closed its visas for Indians. And the audio suggests this caused, economic problems for India.
It even says economists quoted in the recording saw this whole visa thing as a big mistake, a misstep.
Yeah.
You have to wonder, though, if that's true, what specific economic parts were hit by that visa shutdown. The audio doesn't spell it out, does it?
It doesn't go into granular detail, no. But you can sort of infer, right? Less business travel, less tourism, maybe that would hit certain sectors. And maybe visas for skilled workers, professionals. If those got tangled up, that could disrupt things too. The recording basically presents it as a direct result of India's alleged pressure, a miscalculation, really.
Okay. And then, after that, the source brings up another big policy change, the cancellation of the transshipment agreement with Bangladesh. And again, the audio seems to frame this as another example of these poorly thought out decisions.
Yes, and this is where the narrative in the audio really pivots towards Bangladesh's growing influence, and specifically credits Dr. Yunus.
Ah, okay. How so?
The recording is pretty clear on this. It says Dr. Yunus's leadership is pulling in huge amounts of foreign investment to Bangladesh. Thousands of investors, billions of dollars is the claim.
Right, and here's where it gets really spicy, maybe. The source directly connects India's alleged mistakes, the visa thing, the transshipment cancellation, to this success story in Bangladesh under Dr. Yunus. It even suggests India might be reacting with, and this is the translation again, jealousy. Jealousy over Bangladesh's economic wins, which it pins squarely on Dr. Yunus. That's a strong emotional angle.
It absolutely is. You have to grasp that to understand the perspective here. The audio isn't just like analyzing policy objectively. It's framing India's actions as a reaction to this perceived power shift, with Dr. Yunus as the key figure making Bangladesh successful and maybe making India uncomfortable.
So it really elevates Dr. Yunus's role, portraying him as someone whose influence is like directly messing with the India-Bangladesh dynamic, making India maybe lose some ground, globally and locally even.
That's certainly the narrative being pushed in the source material, yes. It positions him very centrally.
Okay, let's dig into that transshipment agreement itself a bit more. The source says back in, June 2020, India actually gave Bangladesh this facility.
That's right, to move goods through India to places like Bhutan, Nepal, Myanmar.
Which sounds, on the face of it, like a good thing for regional trade, right? Connectivity.
It was supposed to be, yeah. Streamline things, cut down on logistics headaches. But then the recording gives the official Indian reason for pulling the plug, which is apparently set for April 8th, 2025.
And that came from the Ministry of External Affairs spokesperson, Rantir Jaiswal.
Correct. According to Jaiswal, as reported in the audio, the main issue was major ongoing congestion at India's airports and ports.
Okay, so bottlenecks.
Yeah, bottlenecks causing delays, driving up logistics costs, and apparently even slowing down India's own exports because their goods were getting stuck too.
So the official Indian line is, this is about fixing our own internal logistics problem.
Exactly. That's the rationale presented. And they clarified it affects Bangladeshi goods going through India, specifically to Nepal and Bhutan.
But naturally, there's the reaction from the Bangladeshi side. The recording apparently has comments from Abdullah Hel Rakib, former VP at BGMEA, and Kobi Ahmed from the Freight Forwarders Association.
Yes, the VP.
What did they say?
Well, both seem to acknowledge there might be some, initial hurdles for Bangladeshi businesses. Rakib mentioned limited airport capacity in Bangladesh and needing to find other routes.
Like maybe Sri Lanka or the Maldives?
Yeah, he suggested those as possibilities. But here's the kicker. Both of them seem to believe that India will actually be more, Cotagrosto, the word used means damaged, basically.
More damaged than Bangladesh.
Yeah. They think India stands to lose significant revenue from this. They kind of see it as India shooting itself in the foot.
Interesting. So Bangladesh might have some short-term logistical juggling to do, find new paths. But the feeling, at least in this source, is that India loses more economically in the long haul. Which kind of circles back to that initial claim, doesn't it? That India's moves might be backfiring.
It reinforces that narrative strongly.
Especially if you see it through the lens the source provides India reacting poorly to Bangladesh's rise, a rise they attribute significantly to Dr. Yunus.
Precisely. The audio weaves this thread. India's actions may be driven by anxiety or that jealousy about Yunus-led progress in Bangladesh, are poorly judged, and could hurt India's own economy, regionally, and maybe even its global standing.
Which then leads into the broader concerns the source raises about India's own economic health, right?
Exactly. The implication is these actions aren't happening in a vacuum. They might be symptoms of, or contributing to, deeper economic issues in India.
The recording mentions a claim, apparently from Indian economists within the source, that India is going through a, quote, critical period.
Yes.
And it points to specific things. The rupee falling to record lows, the stock market slide they can't seem to stop.
And the prediction included is, frankly, quite stark.
Yeah.
The possibility, mentioned in the source, that India's economy could actually become bankrupt if these trends don't reverse.
Wow, bankrupt. That's a very serious claim.
It's extremely strong language, yes.
Yeah.
It reflects a high level of alarm in the perspective presented by this audio source. It paints a picture of India facing major headwinds.
And the source seems to connect those headwinds, maybe implicitly, maybe explicitly in parts, back to these policy decisions regarding Bangladesh.
There's definitely that linkage suggested throughout the narrative.
Okay, so it's really vital here, I think, for us to just state clearly again. We're dissecting the claims and opinions from this specific audio source.
Absolutely crucial.
We're not taking sides, not endorsing any political view. We're just trying to understand the information and the viewpoint presented in this material. It's one interpretation.
Exactly right. Our job here is to unpack the arguments made in the recording, how it connects India's policies towards Bangladesh with worries about its own economy, and this perception of Bangladesh gaining ground, especially highlighting Dr. Yunus's role in that whole dynamic.
Right. So just to sum up then, the audio we looked at paints this picture. India making reactive decisions, maybe out of unease or even that jealousy towards Bangladesh's economic progress, which the source heavily credits to Dr. Yunus's leadership. These decisions, like the visa changes, canceling transshipment, are shown as possibly hurting India more than Bangladesh in the end.
That's the argument, yes.
And at the same time, the source points to internal worries in India, the weak rupee, the struggling markets, even floating this idea of potential bankruptcy. It's a narrative of India maybe losing influence, losing stability, both in the region and perhaps globally.
That sums up the core narrative well. This deep dive, hopefully, has shed light on how this particular source connects India's recent policies, its economic anxieties, and the rising profile of Bangladesh, with Dr. Yunus really framed as a central figure driving that shift and potentially contributing to India's troubles.
Yeah. It certainly gives you a clearer view of the specific arguments and perspectives raised in that audio material you shared.
Absolutely.
So thinking about all this, these contrasting views, these strong opinions about leadership, especially Dr. Yunus's highlighted role, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What are the bigger, longer-term geopolitical consequences for South Asia?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
And what other factors might be influencing things that maybe weren't even touched on in this particular audio? How does this all play into India's position on the world stage going forward? Definitely leaves you with a lot to chew on about the shifting sands in the region. Specifically, things about Dr. Yunus, these visa policy changes, the transshipment stuff.
It starts off strong, doesn't it?
It really does. The audio uses this phrase, the translation is, India seems to be in a mad state. That's quite an opening statement.